The 1 minute warning, please.
1 minute warning. If you take your seats.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. It is officially 7:27, and welcome to the Monday, April 18th City Council meeting. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Seeger.
Present.
Alderman Mosio. Alderman Kirkwood. Alderman Newsom.
Present.
Alderman Turner.
Present.
Alderman Rivera.
Present.
Alderman Florian.
Present.
Alderman Hayes.
Present.
Alderman Bolton.
Present.
Mayor Taylor.
Present.
You have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, I'd like to present the invocation by Prophetess Dr. Barbara Taylor from World of Life International Ministries, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Come on up.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you this evening, God, for this gathering on tonight. We pray for our mayor today, Father. We pray for all the city councils on tonight. We pray that you will continue to give them wisdom, to give them knowledge, and to give them understanding on how to run the city of Waukegan. We thank you for the progress that we've made even in this year, God. We ask, Father, in the name of Jesus, that you will continue to bring unity in this great city, Father. And we just bless everything tonight that's going to be discussed for the betterment of the people. And we give you praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, welcome to our City Council meeting. I'm pleased that so many people are here tonight. I also am pleased that I'm here tonight. Many of you had heard that I had COVID. I just want to remind people that COVID is still out there. I was very, very lucky. I had a very, very mild case, and I coincidentally was exposed the very same night that I had my second booster shot. So consequently, like I said, my symptoms were mild, and I want to thank everybody here who reached out to me and gave me well wishes. And I particularly want to thank my staff and my chief of staff for filling in for me. It's hard when one of us is gone, and I appreciate the effort that all the staff made. Tonight I want to talk about the rules of decorum. We haven't talked about them in a while. So again, I'll remind people that you can only talk during audience time, and you have 3 minutes. If you talk over aldermen or you talk over people in the meeting, then you will be issued a warning. The second time, you will be asked to leave. Let's go on and talk about budget. Many of you are here tonight to talk about our budget. It's a balanced budget. It has no tax increases. And it focuses on two things. It focuses on projects in the community and supporting our staff and getting them the training, the equipment, everything that they need to do their jobs well and service the community. It's got a $50 million of investment in infrastructure, which is historic. A lot of those projects will be based on if we get the grants that we are looking for. We will not take on debt, and this is our first really big budget post-COVID, and I'm proud to say that, like I said, we're balanced, we're happy, people are getting what they need from the staff is getting what they need to do their jobs, and the community will get what they need to have a better community. Tomorrow, we'll be swearing in some new police officers, if the budget passes tonight, and making an important promotion within the Waukegan Police Department. The public's welcome to join us at the Genesee Theater tomorrow, April 19th at 3 p.m. Tomorrow we'll be promoting Adriana Cancino to the rank of commander from patrolman. Patrolman Cancino began her career with the Waukegan Police Department in 2003, and during her 19-year career, Cancino has worked in the patrol and community policing divisions, so many of you may already know her. Also during that time, she served as a certified crisis intervention team manager, a Spanish interpreter, and additionally, she helped develop the Waukegan Police Department Peer Support Program and College of Lake County Criminal Justice curriculum. So again, please come out and join us tomorrow. This is a change. We have not had a woman, I believe, in management since 2003. Some other general comments. We are now approaching the final days to buy your city stickers for $45. At the end of the month, starting May 1st, they'll go up to $90. And this year, the Waukegan Police Department will be enforcing having city stickers. And we are enforcing it in all communities. And we're doing it because residents complain, hey, I don't have parking in front of my house, and yet there's all these cars here and I don't know where they're from. So this is a way for us to enforce that and make sure that everybody has parking available to them and that it really is Waukegan residents on our streets overnight. You can get your city sticker by standing in line here at City Hall. I will tell you the last day, you'll probably be here for quite a while. It's during regular business hours. You can get it at several currency exchanges throughout the city, but there is a convenience fee for that. And you can also do it online. Congratulations to the Waukegan College on receiving the 2022 National Partnership for Education Access Jack Cook Kent Award for Excellence, Leadership and Equality. The award is given to programs that have made a notable difference in the lives of historically marginalized or excluded students. Waukegan College demonstrates a commitment to supporting students' growth and success and showing sustainability for long-term success, potential growth, and equitable practices of the program, among other items. The city, along with the Park District, Port District, School District, Township, and other organizations, is celebrating Earth Week this week and asking all residents to help clean up the city, whether you do it on your own private property or you do it as part of a community group that's out there right now. There's all kinds of places to volunteer to help with cleanup. Dumpsters will be delivered to each ward throughout this week, and organized cleanups are slated for Friday and Saturday. You can get involved by keeping Waukegan beautiful, and you can find out all the information on our website. And I also have a brochure up here for all of you that want to know when the dates are. Today was the collection in the 1st and 2nd wards. Tomorrow it'll be the 3rd and 4th wards, and those will be at 100 North Lewis and Genesee and Julian Street. On Wednesday, the 5th and 6th ward will go, and all these times are from 8 to 3. And the 5th ward is at Grand Avenue and Yeoman Street, and the 6th ward is at 741 West Glen Flora. On Thursday, the 7th ward and 8th ward will have cleanups, and that will be from 8 to 3 again, and the dumpster will be at 1800 North Sheridan and 2600 Sunset Avenue. On the last day, Friday, the 9th ward will go, and again, it's 8 to 3, and it's 2662 Belvedere. Any resident in Waukegan can go to any of those locations. If you cannot make it on the day that it is scheduled in your ward, please feel free to go to one of the others, and you can get that information from our website. We also have a beach cleanup this week. We are always looking for people to sign up to do beach cleanups any week. So if you have a Boy Scout group, a Girl Scout group, whatever, that you would like to come and help, please feel free to sign up for our beach cleanup, and you can do that through our website. Also, as you know, when we do these cleanups, certain items are not able to be put into the dumpsters. There is a place in Fox Lake on Saturday, April 30th, that will take all the things that we don't allow in our dumpsters, such as nail polishes, paint, aerosols, those kinds of things. So that is at Fox Lake Streets Department at 216 Washington Street, if you're interested in that. And again, that's all the things that we don't take.
Did you say Fox Lake Police Department?
No, Fox Lake, let me see here, Fox Lake Streets Department.
Street Department, okay, thank you, Mayor.
The Waukegan High School Fine Arts Department will be presenting the musical Annie from April 21st through April 23rd at the Trapp Auditorium. So come please support our local talent and cheer these kids on. They haven't been out doing some of this stuff, so they need your support. Seasonal jobs and summer internships are available for youth 17 to 22 years old to work at the Waukegan Beach and Public Works. Go to the city's website and search jobs to learn more about these terrific opportunities. We also have job openings, permanent jobs, not just summer help, so if you're interested, please apply to those. Potholes. We will be addressing potholes within the next couple of weeks. As you know, the weather's still a little iffy. The asphalt places are not currently open. The best we could do right now is cold patch, and I believe we're better off waiting until we have the asphalt ready to go. We're this close, let's just hold on for a couple of weeks. Graffiti. There's been a lot of graffiti in our city, and why Public Works is working to clean it up in areas. We're also asking business owners to do their part. If you have graffiti on your premises, please clean it up. We want our city to be nice and clean. We want our city where we're proud of our residents. Let's get some of this off of our buildings. We also have an ordinance that you cannot have signs in the parkways. So City Public Works is actually going around and collecting some of those things. Some of you are paying a lot of money for those stands to put those into the ground, but there is an ordinance that you cannot have these signs in the parkways. So we suggest you not put them there. If you do, we will collect them. And that's money that the city can have from all these recyclable metals that you use for these signs. So I'm giving you fair warning that some of those signs will disappear. So please do not put them in the parkways. That concludes my mayor's comments. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight we have a couple of proclamations and a resolution. The first one will be Resolution 22R36. The Waukegan Garden Club supports beautification efforts. Whereas Waukegan Garden Club was established in 1929 and has been an active group since that time, working to beautify the community and that gardens are reflections of our community. And whereas the Waukegan Municipal Beach has 3 large seasonal planters which add color and vibrancy to the city's active public beach, and whereas the Waukegan Metro Station has a raised garden bed on the west side of the station that provides a welcome site for commuters and visitors, and whereas the Waukegan Garden Club agrees to plant and maintain the Waukegan Municipal Beach Planters and the Waukegan Metro Station raised garden bed for the 2022 growing season, and whereas the Lakefront Coordinator and Waukegan Public Works have offered their support for these projects, realizing well-maintained gardens and planters set an example and inspiration as to what can be accomplished in the area, being a beacon of community pride to residents, tourists, and visitors, and educating our community on native plants and garden care. And now, therefore, be it resolved that Mayor Ann B. Taylor and the Waukegan City Council do hereby allow the Waukegan Garden Club to plant and maintain the 3 Waukegan Municipal Beach Planters and Waukegan Metro Station raised bed for the 2022 growing season, and that the Waukegan Garden Club accepts any liabilities of their members volunteering in conjunction with these garden spots, dated this 18th day of April 2022. And I believe, Mayor, you have members of the
Yes,
Waukegan
I'd like
Garden
everybody
Club.
from the Garden Club to come on up. We'd love to get a picture with everyone.
Wow, there's Susan Kaczynski.
Alderman, if you'd like to come down, you can. Otherwise, you could stay in the background here. Whatever you prefer. We're going to put you in the center, and we're going to do some pictures.
Have to wait till Christmas. It's too
So Becky Schwartz, always nice to have an artist on board. All right, our second proclamation. Waukegan celebrates National Poetry Month. Whereas the Academy of American Poets established the month of April as National Poetry Month in 1996, and whereas National Poetry Month seeks to highlight the extraordinary legacy and ongoing achievement of American poets, introduce Americans to the pleasures and benefits of reading poetry, bring poets and poetry to the public in immediate and innovative ways, make poetry an important part of our children's education. And whereas, as National Poetry Month, under the leadership and direction of the Academy of American Poets, is now the largest literary celebration in the world. And whereas poetry enhances and enriches the lives of all Americans. And whereas poetry, as an essential part of the arts and humanities, affects every aspect of life in America today, including education, the economy, and community pride and development. And whereas poetry has produced some of the nation's leading creative artists and has inspired other artists in fields such as music, theater, film, dance, and the visual arts. And now therefore be it resolved that Mayor Taylor and members of the City Council of Waukegan, Illinois, do hereby proclaim April 1st through April 30th as National Poetry Month in Waukegan, and call upon public officials, educators, librarians, and all the people of the city to observe this month, to celebrate the cultural riches our community has to offer, and to recognize the important role poetry in creating and sustaining this great nation with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs. Adopted this 18th day of April 2022. And I believe, Mayor, we have a special reading.
We do. Brother
Pam.
Blanks, would you like to come up?
First of all, let me extend my appreciation to the council members of the city for allowing me. Extend my thanks and appreciation to the city and the members for allowing me this time to share with the people in the spirit of spoken word. What I want to share with you all. This is an autobiographical, and matter of fact, I'll be sharing with you all from my book. This is how we raise funds, so feel free to get in touch with us. Matter of fact, I do have a few on hand. But also, what I want to share with you all, this is a poem, autobiographical poem of self-accountability and responsibility and solutions. It's also a poem that suggests that sometimes there are issues in life that we'll go through that we can't necessarily call on our pastor or our preachers to resolve or our elected officials to address. And it's a poem that says oftentimes we are challenged to look within to win. Bam! With the sound of the battle ram, just before the cops and local DEA of Meg rushed through my front rear in my middle duplex residence south side door. Threw me and first cuz face first down to the floor. So no, I tell young brothers and sisters, if you ever thinking about using or slinging rocks, crack, meth, heroin, brown, blow, leave the dumb stuff alone, because it's definitely not the way for a young black man, woman, or anybody else to go. Sit back, relax. As experience speak, as I continue to kick to you the facts and the reasons of why I know so much about the dark side and lawyer nature of both man and beast that compelled and possessed me once upon a time, not so long ago. So now let me just bounce back a couple of beats so I can paint for you a very clear picture of what was going down on the set of the scene before the boom of the battle ram sound. See, me and first cuz was seated at my dining room / office table, bagging herb, crushing boulders into ready-sized rocks, so we could go out and distribute to El Lingo lump cowboy, because see, these was a few of the workers who was clocking on the block while me and first cuz held down things back at my spot. Suddenly things began to slip. See, we slipped into our third mistake by chilling at my dining room / office table, running off at the lip, opposed to rushing the products out to be locked in our heavily camouflaged outdoor box like we would usually do. Now this slips me into my second mistake, which was to myself not staying true. Because see, when I first jumped into the game, y'all, I told myself I would only be in it for a ride. Just hit it and quit it. Or just long enough to pay a few bills at the end of the week, or maybe to just help make a couple of ends meet. Therefore, I made an oath to myself that when my two daughters played and we slept at night, I would never sling or sing a thing from behind that same door, regardless of how good the situation got or my finances seemed to soar. But then again, one night in the near future, all it took was a $500 knock at my door. My so-called drug-slinging oaths and morals suddenly fell to the floor. This slips me into my first mistake. I was slipping into darkness, and pretty soon I'd have to pay. This slips me into my first mistake, which was descending into the bowels of a western beast to deal this dirt for the devil, when knowing full well the Creator was awaiting to ascend my mind and my conscience to that of a more spiritual level. So now this brings me full circle to where this message began, with the bam of the battle ram booming at my door as a divine reminder that eventually I must pay wages for sins. Consequently, I have summoned undercover demons to my doors, masquerading as corrupt cops. I didn't say all cops, masquerading as corrupt cops to carry me into mortal hell. And for all of those of you who do not know, for a black man, woman, or anybody else, that's jail or prison cell. So now I teach and I tell young brothers and sisters, if you thinking about using or slinging them rocks, crack, meth, heroin, brown, blow, please, leave the dumb stuff alone, because it's definitely not the way for a young black man, woman, or anybody else to go. After falling and descending into the fiery pits, an all-time low of becoming one of my own best customers, I have now ascended as single, full-time dad who had raised two daughters, and for me, this makes 32 years of being cocaine clean, crack, and heroin free. That's that piece. So, as I said, as a spoken word artist, and I like to thank my brother Calvin Mathis there, because I often say an organization, I'm the founder of Black Abolition Movement for the Mind. And an organization and even a city or a leader is only as strong as a community and the people who bring their time and their talent to the table, to be a part of helping to be about solutions. So I try to offer poetry and work with young people based on some of the things and the mistakes that I've made. Not the things that I have achieved, but the mistakes that I made in the effort to keep them from falling in those pitfalls and traps, so I can be a spotlight for their life so they can walk around those pitfalls and move forward. So we're located at 801 McAllister Avenue. You guys are welcome to stop by. Like I said, I have a few books. If you like a donation of $20, we can take cash, and we do take cards as well. But at the same time, this is what we do. We try to uplift and enlighten. I've been doing this work for quite some time. Once again, I thank the city. I thank you all for being a good audience and participating, because that's what we do. It's called Poetry for the People. That is in honor of one of our ancestors by the name of Marcus Garvey. He had a poetry movement in his UNIA organization called Poetry for the People. So without you, there would be no need in what I do, because we always try to uplift and enlighten the community and the people. Thank you all for your time, and thank you for your attention. And once again, thank you to City for allowing me this time.
Brother Blanks, would you like to take the proclamation that Waukegan celebrates National Poetry Month, since you came up here and taught us poetry, and I thank you for that? Would you like to take this as a
Most
memory?
definitely. Sure. I've taken it. My brother, Kevin, can you come up? I would like if somebody, can you hold this? Okay. No, thank you. Come on up here with me.
Again, thank you for coming to council and sharing with us. And this just recognizes that Waukegan recognizes Poetry Month. And thank you so much for being here.
Well, on behalf of all the spoken word artists and those that support poetry, I thank you and I accept this, and we will take this and have it posted at our organization.
Thank you very much for coming.
All right.
Wait.
A spectacular delivery and message, Brother Blanks. And with that, Mayor, we're going to be moving on to audience time. Thank you, thank you. Okay, there'll be 3 minutes for each. We have a number of people today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to call 5 names and go right ahead and just line yourself up, and we'll go one right after the other. So the first 5 will be Kenneth Endress, Jack Dye, Patty Flesher, Ephraim Heredia, and Calvin Mathis. Again, Kenneth Endress, Jack Dye, Patty Flesher, Ephraim Heredia, and Calvin Mathis. So Mr. Endress, go right ahead, please.
Thank you. Again, I was here a few weeks ago. I am a Community Plans Liaison Officer for the Commanding Officer, Captain Jason Williamson at Naval Station Great Lakes. I appreciated the visit last time. I enjoyed your previous financial meeting. It was very interesting to hear all the numbers that was being thrown out. One thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is that Great Lakes graduations are now increasing in numbers, and the use of motel and hotel facilities are going to be increasing also. And Great Lakes provides to our recruit families and friends that come to this area a list of facilities that are available to rent or accommodate their stay while in the area of Lake County. And I would encourage the City of Waukegan, the Chamber of Commerce, or even individual hotels that would like to be listed in our pamphlet that is sent out to the families. Would encourage you to either contact me tonight so I can pass on that information to you. Other communities in our county also provide information in there, and I would only encourage that. I know that 2 motels from Waukegan are actually listed, and I would imagine you have more than 2. So I encourage you to reach out to me, and I will pass on the appropriate information to whoever needs it to get that ball rolling.
Quick question. You said you're doing them in person now?
Yeah, we're doing in-person graduations.
Okay, and when is your next one?
It happens typically every Friday. There'll be some days that because of holidays, it may be on a different day of the week, but it's happening every day. And graduation every week is somewhere between 600 to 1,200 recruits. So imagine at least 2 to 5 people coming for each recruit. So there's a lot of housing requirements.
Can you give us your contact information? I'm a Navy veteran. I'd be honored to visit or take graduation. I'm sorry, can you give us your contact information?
I gave it here. I know the community,
Okay.
your PA people, public relations
Okay, great,
people have
thanks.
it also. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Endress. Jack Dye.
Good evening. I'm Jack Dye, 235 Gillette. I'm here to talk about the budget, everyone's favorite topic. The balanced budget without tax increases to our residents that adds a city administrator, which as a resident who pays taxes is a blessing. A professional, experienced manager in a city of our size would only be hired through the approval of city council, so all of you up there would have a voice and say of who is hired. Traditionally, mayors in Waukegan are elected by other elected officials in the city, such as aldermen, city clerks. Save for a few elected officials, how many of you up there have been successful enough to have won more than one election? My point is everyone up here is pretty green. We have a very large city with a lot of stuff to do. Do we have a diamond in the rough amongst our elected officials with a professional background in city management, enough experience to make better decisions than a person who's been educated, trained, and experienced in doing so? Our mayor should be an advocate for our city, not dragged down with the day-to-day details. Cities across the state and Midwest, dare I say nationally, have had much more success financially, through economic development, and through long-term planning than our city. With our revolving door of mayors, and we've only had 2 mayors since the 1990s that have been there for more than 4 years, with our long history of revolving doors of mayors, we've let things such as our infrastructure fall into disrepair. How many years ago was it that we had a collapsed culvert on Washington Street? How many millions of dollars we dropped on that? Just that we weren't ready for that. Infrastructure's falling. Didn't we raid money out of our rainy day fund to buy the BRP site and clean it up, the pollution, when someone was supposing to come in and do that for us? Didn't we get an unexpected $1 million plus bill for the Grand Avenue Bridge project over the Amstutz a few years after it was completed because somebody forgot about it? These are all realities that taxpayers have to pay. Elected officials typically look towards the next election. Not everybody, but typically. And then paid and contracted professionals stay on top of running cities much better over the long term. If you don't believe me, look at other communities within the profession that have professional city administrators. Look at their tax rates. Look at their home values. Look at the number of times they have to bond out for a project to get financing because they don't have the money. Then look at our situation. This is the first time in years we have a balanced budget to be able to do everything we want to do. It's a clear choice for the citizens, residents, and businesses in Waukegan. We want to stop donating to collection campaigns and start becoming a true city of progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dye. Patty Flesher.
Hi, Patty Flesher, 2414 Corona Road. I am also here to urge the City Council to approve the creation and the funding of a City Administrator for Waukegan. This position will ensure that the City of Waukegan is always on the path for growth and prosperity, that the plans that you have put in place for development continue and are not influenced by politics, but driven by economics. By adding this position, Waukegan will join the vast majority of major municipalities, leveraging the know-how of an administrator to ensure that the city's best interests and those of its residents are always served.
Thank you, Ms. Flesher. Efren Heredia.
I'm also here to, to support the bringing on of a city administrator, city manager per se. I've lived in Waukegan for 60 years. I grew up, went to school, actually attended grade school at St. Joe's with Alderman Rivera. I've raised my family here. I work here. I work in the county building for 6 years. And how I correlate what I'd like the city to do in bringing in a city administrator is very similar to the structure of the county. I sat 200 feet from Barry Burton for 6 years. You have a county board, the county board's an elected, but they had Barry and his group run the day-to-day operations, all right? He wasn't an elected official. We talk about a city of progress, but in all the years I've seen, it's really been more of a city of restart. When we have a new mayor coming in every 4, 8 years, how can you have a strategic plan that moves forward? We need to get somebody, a professional, in City Hall that can help us maintain and create progress. The future of our city depends on it. It's on your hands. I think I love Waukegan. I could have moved out a long time ago. I'm proud to be from Waukegan. But there's a lot of work to do. There really is. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Calvin Mathis, please.
Good evening. Well, I was going to speak on the city manager, but it appears that it's a very popular thing, according to the last 3 that stood up here, but I'm not sold on it. We didn't really vote for a city manager. We voted for a mayor. I have the city manager's job description here, not so appealing to me. Directs the overall efforts of the city government. That's one of the bullet points here. Administers and supervises through subordinate department heads, all functions. City clerk. Well, I thought we voted for a city clerk. Got public works here. We got fire and rescue. I thought that's why we had department heads. Aren't they supposed to be professionals? You mean, so we We got to have a middleman to tell a professional to be a professional. Oversees the city's media relations and communication activities. Look like we have that here already. Maybe the mayor needs a couple more. Ability to work with mathematical concepts such as probability, statistical inference, and fundamentals of plane and solid geometry and trigonometry. And we can probably get that down at the high school. Ability to apply concepts as fractions, percentage, ratios, proportions in practical situations. Ability to effectively use a computer, tablet, mobile phone, including effective keyboard skills, and ability to use dictation software. Well, I could probably apply for that portion of the job since we're hiring and paying pensions out. But, it goes on and on. I'm not sold on it, but, hey, if it works, it works. I'm not, an expert myself, but it seemed to me all these responsibilities, I would like to see the responsibilities of the mayor. They may be the same thing, but I'm not sure. In the last minute, though, I want to, Brother Blanks, he acknowledged me, and I just want to encourage all the black males that are available to do something to help the community, to come down to BAM, let's have a conversation. Me and Brother Blanks and a few other brothers are working hard. We're trying to do our part. We're talking about a city manager here. Maybe if the citizens, if this room was full like this all the time, we may have a better city. So let's not act like, it's all the responsibilities of our elected officials. We bear responsibilities as citizens, and I just don't think that we are coming through like we are. Those who haven't been here before, please come back. This is the sickness of democracy. We don't have the active participation of our citizens. That's how the city gets sick. That's how you find dead kids in the street, because we're not holding our officials accountable. There's nobody here to hold them accountable. So I just want to encourage you guys
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mathis. I appreciate that. Thank you. And the next 5 will be Brother Blanks, Brendan Stewart, Pamela, and I can't read your last name because I think the pen went out on you. Pamela? Okay, that's you. And then Colleen Hintz and Clyde McLemore. Again, Brother Blanks, Brendan Stewart, Pamela, Colleen Hintz, and Clyde McLemore. And anytime, Brother Blanks.
Okay, I just want to follow up on something that the mayor had mentioned maybe a couple of months ago. I'm really looking for a follow-up on where we are and what's the status on an independent search for the chief of police. We do want local hire-up officers, but sometimes there's a need for an independent head at the top if we are still getting the same old patterns and practices. So I would really like to know the status on that, looking for that independent search. And also, the other thing that I wanted to bring up, I think one of the reasons why a lot of times people are having problems when we talking about creating other commissions or creating other positions, sometimes we had a pattern and a practice in the past with the city where we would create certain commissions or we'd spend certain budgets. If I could use for an example, we spent quite a bit of money on what we had deemed as police sensitivity training. I mean, we spent over 60, well over 100,000 or more, if perhaps still doing that. But when we spend that kind of money and we are asking the citizens to spend that kind of money for it to result in an insensitive situation, such as what happened where the young student was charged with attempted murder, it gives people to feel a pause or to think, to take cause or take a pause to when they see money is being spent, but we have a situation where that kind of money is spent before, where the young man with this police sensitivity training, but we have issues that will result in people being charged like that and other issues, whether it be Avion Cotton, Marcellus Danette, and the list can go on and on when we spend sensitivity training money, that kind of money, and we don't get the kind of results. So I think that's why people look real close, because of the bad pattern and the practice of that. such as also I had made mention before about the citizens, about the Citizen Review Board, or what's the term we have, the police, what was that? The civil service. So when we look at the civil service, we looked at where that part of the Civil Service Commission was taken out, where at one time they was dealing with discipline in the area of the police. That's not there anymore. So maybe it is time for us to have an independent Citizens Review Accountability Board that is independent of the city to review and to hold the complaints of the citizens accountable. He made a good point, Mr. Brendan. So I mean, that part was taken out. So here's an opportunity to have an independent Citizens Review Board like was proposed before, that has some teeth, some bite, and some real accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Blanks. Right on the money.
Mr. Stewart, before you begin, Brother Blanks, that national search is open until May 30th. So the national search for a police chief is open until May 30th, so we're still receiving applications.
Brendan Stewart.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. When we last spoke a number of weeks ago, I was really excited to find out that the Civil Service Commission is an organization that exists. I've been a resident of Waukegan coming up on 10 years. I had no idea this mechanism for accountability exists in our community. And in my defense, in the defense of you all here who may or may not know that it exists, the city doesn't do a very good job of publicizing this. And as far as I can tell, the city doesn't do a very good job of running it either. I did a little bit of research on the Civil Service Commission, and I was somewhat appalled with what I found. On their website, they list the meeting dates for 2022 as to be determined. I had to submit a FOIA request to determine whether or not the Civil Service Commission had even met this calendar year. We're in second quarter of 2022. We've been able to have other government meetings. If these are happening, it's not evident that they're happening. I, as a citizen, wouldn't know when to show up or to where. When I went on board docs, which is typically where we have our meeting minutes and meeting agendas, I didn't find, even from the link on the Civil Service Commission's website, I didn't find any of their meeting minutes. I had to FOIA those also. And look, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but there's a collective bargaining agreement for the police department, which, as I understand, expires at the end of the month. That's going to be renegotiated. Shouldn't this board have some oversight in the way that that gets renegotiated and in the values that are brought into that agreement as to what we want to see from our police department moving forward? That would seem to be the entire function of a government body like this. Look, I heard last time we got together that it's time that we run the city of Waukegan like a business. And I ask of you, is this how any of you would run the businesses that you run or that you work in? If I had employees in my businesses that had not met in 2 quarters, I would be really concerned. And an important note there, a government is very different from the way that we run a business, in that we don't have a profit motive as a government, we don't have investors as a government, but we do have stakeholders. And it's important that the actions of this government, especially when we set up panels and commissions to have oversight over organizations like the police department, the only government body that has the power of violence in this community, that we actually follow through and make sure that those commissions are having meetings, are making decisions, and that the powers of
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Thank you. Ms. Pamela.
I came up here in Waukegan 28 years ago. I raised my grandson here. I live in the ward of 6. We're having shootings in my ward every other day. It's getting bad. Sometimes I just get on the floor. I don't even lay in my bed because I don't know how they're shooting over there. I went to the store on Ridgeland and North Avenue. This was about 4 days ago. And I saw a lot of police. And the guy that works in the store, I was trying to see if he was all right. I didn't know what went on. So the police said, ma'am, you can't come in. And I asked, could you open the door so I could see if he was all right? All I could see was just bullet shells everywhere. And they were shooting from across the street to the store, okay? 2 young men had on black masks, okay? Now, about a month ago, I was walking home from the store, me and this young lady. And around the corner from my house, somebody jumped out a black van with black masks on and started shooting up these houses, okay? Now, I live on Ash in Ridgeland, and it was right around the corner from North Avenue and Ridgeland. All I'm asking is, can we get some help over there? It's getting terrible over there, okay? I can't sleep at night. I'm trying to find me somewhere to go. I can't sleep over there. I went from 4th Street to Ridgeland and Ashland thinking I'm going to be all right. I'm not all right. I'm not all right, and I'm tired of living like this. They steady saying they're doing something and ain't nobody doing nothing. The people that I live in between, they're older people. They say, ma'am, this had never been happening. They have let these people come in Waukegan on these programs, and they're steady letting them in, and you just don't understand. Y'all need to close these housing programs, because if y'all don't close them, something's going to happen real bad in Waukegan.
Thank you, Ms. Pam. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please get police over there.
Thank you. Colleen Hintz.
Hi, good evening. My name is Colleen Hintz. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of myself and on my husband, Nathan Hintz. We reside at 238 West Ridgeland in the 6th Ward. We're very active members of the Waukegan community and have been in the 6th Ward for almost 15 years. We would like to voice our support for the creation of a city administrator. There are communities that are half the size of Waukegan, not only in physical size, but in population, that both have a mayor, city administrator, and other support staff, such as city or urban planners. For a city of this size, at a time like now, when so many pivotal opportunities are occurring, to not hire a city administrator would be short-sighted. A city administrator would help with the long-term planning and daily functioning of Waukegan. It would help create consistency in the planning, execution of existing plans, and creation of new plans within the city of Waukegan. Myself and other residents have seen too many times the missed opportunities and missteps caused by plans, pledges, and missions changing every 4 years with a new mayor and new administration. As a result, there has been inconsistency and a lack of responsibility for the long-term success of the city of Waukegan. However, an administrator would allow for the long-term and wide-ranging views and vision that would come about in a more consistent manner. It would also create a position within the city of Waukegan that would be held responsible and accountable for achieving objectives in creating a better Waukegan. We have seen how the city can operate dysfunctionally and not take full advantage of opportunities, while other organizations and groups within the city of Waukegan, such as the Park District and Historical Society, are well respected in the state and have received accolades accordingly. It is frustrating as a resident to have put down roots in the city with the belief that 15 years ago, the city was on the cusp of revitalization. To sadly say that that has not come to full fruition. We have treasures such as the parks, lakefront diversity, and location that for too long have not been fully recognized and realized to their greatest potential. We now stand at a moment in the time of renewed rejuvenation downtown with the Carnegie Library and the CLC Lakeshore campus, additions and the casino at Fountain Square. It would be a prudent time to invest a small amount in a staff salary now in order to help ensure a responsible, cohesive, and long-range viewpoint and guidance for the city of Waukegan. Creating the role of the city administrator would allow the mayor more time for things such as engagement and networking, but also create an independent, functional role that will be held accountable for creating, instituting, and executing the day-to-day functions of the city, and also creating a pathway for a successful, bright future within the city of Waukegan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hintz. Clyde McLemore.
Clyde McLemore, Executive Director to Black Lives Matter Lake County. First of all, I don't have anything personal against this mayor, but like many others in the city, I do not believe that she is up for the job. In looking for a proposed budget, I have several questions and comments. She's not the first mayor to feel she needs a chief of staff. However, she's the first one that wants a city administrator at a rate of $250,000 a year. That's about $400,000 when we include health and benefits. Then that administrator is going to need an assistant and a secretary. What would that cost the city? Right now, George Bridges is making $115,000 a year plus a company car and a full city retirement. The mayor wants to give him a 25% raise, almost $30,000. Why should the taxpayers have to pay for that? 33 new hires in this budget. $57 million was given to the city by federal government. That's a one-time thing. Where the city go get the money for the next budget? That's money that was not sent to increase spending. The city used $76 million a year. 55% of that comes from the tax levy. If the budget passed, what's going to happen next year? Where will the money come from? It will come off the backs of the citizens. How much do the city receive in sales taxes and fees? This is ridiculous and an insult to taxpayers. We don't need a city manager. All we need is a mayor with experience and energy to do the job. The mayor doesn't have either of those things and want the residents to pay for it while she attends tea parties, plays, and yacht clubs. The other items is the legal fees. We hired Strew Firm, Elroy and Fryman for almost $500,000 a year, and now you want to pay the taxpayers to pay $850,000 on top of that so Stu can fatten the pockets of his legal buddies. Of all the legal money already paid to Strew Firm and other law firms, how many are black, Latino, or women-owned? Also, I want to go back and look at this proposal back from 2020 to 2021. That was the one thing Mayor Taylor voted down when she was the alderman. If you read that proposal, it's a lot of things that she voted against, but now she's proposing it. Now, our country is going through inflation, and the mayor wants to fatten the pockets of her political friends, giving 28% raises.
Thank you, Mr. McLemore.
A secretary of 6%.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. The next group of 5 will be David Villalobos, Patricia Berry, Rayon Edwards, Charles Pitts, and Margaret Carrasco. And that's David Villalobos, Patricia Berry, Rayon Edwards, Charles Pitts, and Margaret Carrasco. Mr. Villalobos, when you're ready.
Hello, I am David Villalobos, former alderman for the 4th Ward for the city of Waukegan, and University of Illinois at Chicago, class of 2021 graduate of the Master of Public Administration program. I am here today to advocate for the official creation of a city manager position and a coinciding city manager's department. My recent schooling has given me firsthand knowledge regarding the skill sets taught to city managers, which include, but are not limited to, racial equity, data analysis, policy analysis, financial management, intergovernmental management, conflict management, civic engagement, and most importantly, modern public administration philosophy. This philosophy is centered on the ideals of equity, efficiency, effectiveness, and economics. This philosophy, coupled with the myriad of skill sets that are possessed by any city manager, will put Waukegan on the path to a more strategic alignment of goals with community members, business owners, nonprofit organizations, and other levels of government. A city manager's department will be able to handle in-house analysis and other tasks that would otherwise be contracted out, thus creating savings for the city. When analysis work is contracted out, the city manager's department staff would be an informed second opinion. A city manager's department would have access to statewide, nationwide, and global professional organizational networks, such as the Illinois City County Management Association, American Society for Public Administration, or the International City County Management Association. Becoming a member of any or all of these organizations would give Waukegan access to thousands of public administrators and tens of thousands of articles and reports. Basically, a collective knowledge of local government operations would be at our fingertips. On a more personal level, I believe so strongly that Waukegan will prosper from the professionalism and skills that a city manager's department will bring that I invested my time and finances to obtain a master's of public administration degree with a focus on local government management. I received a 4.0 GPA, received the honor to give the commencement speech for my 2021 graduating class, and gained an extensive amount of knowledge regarding local government operations execution. Yet as I seek to work in a city manager's department, I and other Waukeganites with a master's of public administration degree, there are a few that I know of, are forced to seek positions with other municipalities because our hometown government doesn't have the appropriate department that can fully utilize our skills. To be clear, I'm not advocating to be Waukegan's first city manager because there is someone out there with more knowledge and experience in city management than I. However, I do believe that would add value to city management's department and hope that I would get the opportunity to do so in my hometown. In closing, I strongly advocate for the creation of the city manager's position and coinciding city manager's department. It is time Waukegan stopped being an outlier municipality in this county, state, and nation due to not having a city manager and city manager's department, and join the vast majority of municipalities that do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Villalobos. Patricia Berry, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am kind of embarrassed about my lack of preparation. I think several people that spoke in support of the city manager position are much more articulate than I will be. But I will just say that I have lived in Waukegan since '98, and I've been defending it. I've been proud of it. My professional career was in transportation planning and programming. I have to say, when I first moved up here, I didn't speak out for Waukegan because it was, you know, plan after plan after plan that never went anywhere. And I don't think, I mean, I'm not faulting anybody for it. I really do believe that there's a reason why there are professional city managers. And I'm kind of giggling just because I'm embarrassed at my own ineptitude in speaking to you. I'm proud of Waukegan. I'm proud of living in Waukegan. And I will say that in my 36 years of working with professional planners, the people, the communities, the cities, the towns, the villages that have professional managers acquire more federal money, they acquire more state money, they acquire more county money, they acquire more relational benefits from the professionalism. Several people that spoke had more details than I am. I've been retired for 6 years. I've been trying to block all this out of my mind. But I have children and grandchildren like many of you. I would like them to be proud of Waukegan Tool. Professional managers have the tools, the resources, the connections, and I think a lot of people, whether they were talking about the city manager or any other thing, talk about how important communication is. And I don't want to disparage anybody that's come before or anybody that's working now, but I really believe if we had, when we have, I'll just put it out there, when we have a professional city manager, we're going to be the city of progress that I am so proud of. Yay, Waukegan. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rayon Edwards.
Good evening, everybody. It's kind of funny tonight, man, to say the least. Politics is what we're doing again. I'm looking here tonight, and I applaud everybody for coming out and even having the courage to stand up and speak. But it's also disturbing at the same time because these meetings are held twice a month. Twice a month. And I don't see this many people. I just seen a lady come up here and she says she need help. And we going back and forth about a city manager. I'm asking all of you aldermen up there today, when y'all think about this budget and you vote on it, take the politics out of it. Y'all know what our city needs, seriously. We've been needing a city manager, and I think all of y'all know that. Get out your feelings, take your panties out of a bunch, and stop playing with the peoples of this community, because we sick of it. And I say to everybody else tonight, man, dear, I'm sorry you going through that over there on Ridgeland. I'm 44, and I've done it for 40 years living here, sweetheart. On the south side of Waukegan, it's the same way. On the north side, it's the same way. On the west side, it's the same way. And I'm going to tell you why, because I've been telling them. A lack of police presence. It ain't going to stop the violence. Absolutely not. But if you had a police sitting on most of these busy streets, you had some criminals getting ready to come break the law, let me tell you, from an ex-criminal, I ain't going to do it if I see the police. We don't have enough. We're in a city of 120,000+. We more than what the census say. Imagine how many didn't fill it out. So I love everything about the budget. The city manager, I love it all. But another deputy chief and we ain't got enough patrolmen, I'm not okay with that. I got nephews that walk the streets that like to go to the corner stores. I got aunties that go to the grocery store. And unfortunately, when they were shooting at the plaza, I had an auntie that was there. The look in her face, how scared she was. But what y'all doing up here? How many of y'all been out in y'all wards actually talking to y'all people? And I ain't talking about these old fake-ass meetings that y'all have where 15 or 20 people come in. And I ain't talking about when y'all going for election to get somebody to support you, to get you back in office. I'm talking about on a regular week, because I don't see a lot of y'all. If I could put my social media platform here and just go in what they call the DM, it's called direct message. And I could put up some of those messages from every last one of these wards. Our baby's dying. Our city is in trouble and we're drowning.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You say who? Mr.
Oh,
Pitts?
I'm sorry.
Oh, Janice, see, that's what I'm talking about. We got
Mr. Rand, because I'm thinking Mr. Pitts is next and I don't see him. Yeah. I was anticipating. Did Charlie Pitts leave? I'm looking for him. Oh, there he is. You're next. You want to let Miss Margaret go first? Go ahead, Margaret.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, Marianne.
Okay. It would be nice if we get that timer back off for the speakers, okay?
You know, there's a problem with that timer, and the timer is that I can't operate it from here because it's line of sight. So I'd have to be sitting right down there to do it.
Okay.
It's not a radio monitor.
All right, let me begin. Without a doubt, in Waukegan, the two things people are talking about is the city manager and the budget, okay? However, unfortunately, the majority of the residents still don't even realize that information is not getting to them, okay? On both sides, either you're for it or against it, okay? There are only three things that Waukegan residents do care about. Number one is potholes. Number two is crime, shootings every single day in Waukegan. And number three is property taxes. So we're here, you know, a lot of people saying about the city manager. Here's the bottom line. $250,000, you ask 90% of Waukegan residents, would you want the $250,000 spent on a city manager, and I'm sure this person would bring a lot to the table? Or would you want that money to be used for 4 more new police on the street? Questions that I hear that need to be communicated are not getting to the residents. With a decrease in the levy, taxpayers want to know if they will see an increase or decrease in the city of Waukegan portion of the property taxes. And I think, Mayor, tonight you did address that. but it's not getting to the residents' information. Second, will there be any potential issues with all the unions, police, sergeant, patrolman, fire, public works, et cetera, because in the proposed budget, and this is a talk on the street, there are some non-union employees getting a substantial raise, increasing their salary. So trying to get a balance is going to be difficult because the perception out there with the 99% that are not getting this raise is that the city has lots of money. And that why should we get 3% and someone else gets 6 and 7%, okay? So are we opening up a can of worms here, okay, with negotiation, bargaining, et cetera, that's just around the corner? What people are saying is that if they can get it, why can't we? Okay. One last thing, I just want to publicly thank our Waukegan's #1 animal control staff there. My precious baby German Shepherd got away, and I'll just tell you, they just did a miracle to catch him, and many other animals. They need a raise, if you ask me. Thank you.
Yeah, they're terrific. Now, Mr. Charlie Pitts.
Civil Service Committee. My FOIA regarding the Civil Service Committee, they couldn't produce minutes from their last meeting. Talk about running it as a business. If I was working at McDonald's and I didn't show up, I would get a call, I would get a no call, no show, no job. When you look at the ordinance creating the Civil Service Committee, they're required to meet monthly. And I'm sure they can't even produce when did they meet last. So it's like those members of that committee have abandoned their post, and what are you going to do about it? Are you going to ignore it? Are you just going to do just ignore the community and yada yada? When you look at the ordinance regarding the Civil Service Committee, it's implied that they are to discipline for misconduct. If they're disciplining for misconduct, that implies they should have some type of investigation powers. So when the police kill someone, and when the police falsely imprison and try to can make them confess, those are things the civil service should be looking at. But they've abandoned their post. Also, best practices. Which body, the civil service or the police or the fire, whoever, who is doing the research to make sure that we are following best practice standards? Anybody or any police monitoring any of this would know that you don't bring a child by himself and try to force or manipulate him into a confession. And okay, San Francisco, they put a blue ribbon report, and they were saying, like, when a police shooting happens or misconduct happens, they come in before the community and show evidence and let the community respond. These are like things best practices would do. And I keep pointing back to that legislation regarding minors. It really points to Waukegan being 30 years behind in policing. Where I come from, tasers are a torture device, and our police, with a population of 800,000, they're not allowed to carry tasers. But
thank you, Mr. Pitts. Thank you. Mayor, that concludes the audience time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Under the consent agenda, I would like to pull out items F, G, and do you want H, Alderman Turner? Yep. Okay. We're going to pull those 3 items out. Can I have a motion, and I will need you to speak into the microphone because with the plexiglass, I can't see people raising their hands. So can I have a first on item A through E?
I'll make the motion.
Alderman Turner, second.
I'll second.
Alderman Florian. Okay, item A, motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from Monday, April 4th, 2022. Item B, motion to approve vendor payments dated April 18th, 2022 in a total amount of $1,695,617.35.
Mayor, excuse me, I apologize. Can I pull out item A as well, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Which one?
Item A.
A.
Item C, motion to approve a regular payroll dated April 8th, 2022 in a total amount of $1,663,276.18. Item D, a motion to approve miscellaneous payroll, PD pay, holiday payback, comp time, MAP vacation, elected officials, and civil service stipend, fire uniform allowance, local 150 uniform allowance, final payouts dated April 8th, 2022 in a total amount of $100,777.81. Item E, a motion to approve zoning calendar 2654, site plan approval pursuant to the McGaw Business Park Overlay District at 1210 South Waukegan Road. This matter was heard by the Community Development Group at the regular meeting on April 4th, 2022. Okay, so items B through E, roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood. Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
You have it passed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item A, Alderman Turner.
Yes, thank you very much. Just, as I commented at our last meeting about the preceding minutes, similar comments this meeting. The minutes are disjointed, inaccurate, and just very hard to follow. They don't accurately convey, excuse me, the substance of what was discussed, and very disappointed in this. So I just wanted to make that comment and the suggestion that a request that we do better on the meeting minutes. And I understand that there are interns or students that are doing these minutes, but that shouldn't be. They need to be done more.
If there's omissions or errors, we're more than welcome to correct those, and those are posted on Friday. In addition, this is not verbatim. We're not court reporters.
Jesus.
And there is the use of YouTube.
I think I have the floor to speak and make my comments on this, Janet, if you would allow me.
So,
please.
but yeah,
Thank
please
you.
feel free to call us anytime.
Yeah. Please feel free to let me finish my comments. This is another example of innumerable instances where we're not holding ourselves accountable and those who take action on these agenda items. And I would just request and suggest that we do a better job. I know that you're using interns down there to take minutes, but it's not working well, and I would ask that you improve. Thank you.
I didn't catch half of what you said because you don't speak into the mic. I'd love to hear it.
I'd ask you to do a better job in taking minutes and not assign that to interns from the high school. Thank you.
We will certainly take that into consideration, but you must be
I
you're
don't
the
need a
first
back
one
and
who's
forth
ever
with you,
complained
ma'am.
about them.
Madam Clerk, I just made my comment. I don't need a back and forth with you. No, I didn't ask you a question. I just made a suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, can we take this to a vote? Again, I'll need a motion for item A first.
I'll motion.
Alderman Rivera, second.
I'll second.
Alderman Florian. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood. Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
No.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Motion pass.
Okay, item F and G. I need a first on item F.
So moved.
I'll second.
Alderman Mozio, second. Alderman Rivera. Item F, motion to approve an ordinance creating a Class E liquor license for Intronios Tonquito.
Antojitos Tonatico.
There, thank you. At 1102 Glen Rock Avenue. This matter was heard by the Community Development Committee at their regular meeting on April 4th, 2022. Any questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood. Alderman Newsome.
Nay.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Yes, I just want to say I talked to this young man, this owner. I know he's really endeavoring to change his life, so I say yes.
Motion pass.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Madam Clerk, sometimes I forget to speak up on this. Alderman Kirkwood has requested to recuse himself from items F and G. So if the minutes can reflect that he didn't just step out for personal convenience, he has formally recused himself from those two items. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item G, can I have a first?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay.
Making
so
sure you can hear me.
Mozio and Rivera.
Waking you guys up.
Motion to approve an ordinance creating a Class E liquor license for HE Corporation, DBA El Mercutito, 511, South Green Bay Road. This matter was heard by the Community Development Committee at their regular meeting on April 4th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Nay.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Motion pass.
Okay, item H. Alderman Turner.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Again, we have two raffle applications before us for approval. And this is, I think, the third time this year alone that I've spoken to this issue, wherein those applications are completed. There's a field to acknowledge or stipulate whether or not there's a fiduciary bond. And the only entry in that field for both applications is waiver request. So we had talked about this before. The form was going to be changed to remove that field. It has not. There's no waiver request attached to it, so I don't even know what those two words mean in this context. But the larger issue is that we have repeated, this is at least the second, I think the third time that we had a discussion about this and said, hey, we're just going to remove that waiver, that fiduciary bond from the form, and it hasn't been done. And so here we go again. We have the same thing, the same situation we talked about at least 3 times this year.
Alderman Turner, we are working on that, but I will let corporate counsel address that with you on how we want to handle it and not through the form.
Okay, that'd be great.
Can I say one thing? I know, I just wanted to let you know, Alderman Turner, last meeting, I think it was, this came up, and one of the people approached me after the meeting had ended, and they were covered by a bond through the Diocese of Chicago or something like that.
Right.
So that was the reason they requested a waiver. So I don't know what the situation was with this one, but I just wanted to let you know why they requested a waiver. They were already covered by a bigger entity. Is that right, Stu?
And while I really appreciate hearing that, right, but this is our form, our application. If you're going to request a waiver, you should say, I request a waiver because. So now you're telling me 2 weeks later about something, it's
Okay, let corporate counsel please explain.
No problem. So an interesting thing about Illinois is that it puts the regulation approval of raffles on local governments, and I don't know one local government that actually enjoys doing this, and it does also require that a fiduciary bond be provided, even if it's a very small raffle. It's a very archaic law. So what we're trying to look at is to create a more streamlined process so this doesn't have to come to you every single time, and that staff can review this, make sure that there are sufficient fiduciary securities in place, or if there aren't, basically a good reason for it. So we're looking at setting up a policy. I'd ask for just a little bit of patience on it, but we are working on it. We have taken your comments into consideration.
Great. Thank you, Stu. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, can I have a first on this?
So moved. I'll second.
Alderman Mozio, second. Alderman Rivera. Motion to approve all raffle sale applications. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood. Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
In lieu of the explanation by corporate counsel, I'll vote aye.
I'm sorry, what's your vote, ma'am, sir?
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Motion pass.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. There being no reports in communication or old business, new business.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I would suggest an abusement.
A what?
Uh,
An omnibus?
Omnibus, I'm sorry.
Omnibus.
I'm old and tired. I would suggest that.
Almost past our bedtime, right?
Right? The only thing is, if we're not going to pull out too many items, I don't think we need to. Most of this was gone over in committee. I don't think we need to beat it up anymore. The only thing I would like to pull out would be I and O. Other than that, this alderman is good with everything else on here. I don't know how the rest of the body feels, but most of this was stuff already done in committee.
We held over item E,
Okay?
so, okay,
You held over.
I'll make that motion for
sorry.
omnibus. Is that right? Thank you.
Yeah, item F. I'm sorry, it was item F, not E. I'm sorry.
What, F?
Yeah.
Can I get a second?
Oh, F.
What did Moiseo want taken out?
He wanted item
F?
I
F, I, and O.
F,
F.
I, and
and O.
O.
Okay. Okay, item A,
We got to make a motion on the omnibus.
yeah, I'm sorry.
We have a first and a
omnibus,
second?
First and a second. Okay, Mozio and Rivera for the first and the second. Okay, so we're including in this items A through E, item G, H, J through N, and P through R.
Correct.
Okay. Can I have a first to hear those? A motion for those to be heard?
I'll motion.
Oh, we did, I was first and Felix was
That was
second.
for the omnibus, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it's Rivera and Mozio?
Yeah.
Okay. Item A, a motion to approve an ordinance amending Article 1 of Chapter 20 of the City's Code of Ordinances to establish a local taxpayer bill of rights. This item was presented to the Code Revisions, Appeals, and Negotiations Committee on 4/18/2022. Item B, motion to approve an ordinance amending Section 2-5 or 454A of the code, or the city code regarding purchase limits of CDBG programs. This item was presented to the Code Revisions, Appeals, and Negotiations Committee on 4/18/2022. Item C, motion to approve an ordinance amending Section 14-1 of the city code regarding rental unit business licenses regulations. This item was presented to the Code Revisions, Appeals, and Negotiations Committee on 4/18/2022. Item D, a motion to approve an ordinance amending Section 11-32 of the City Code regarding truck noise. This item was presented to the Code Revisions, Appeals, and Negotiations Committee on 4/18/2022. Item E, a motion to approve an ordinance amending Chapter 6 of the City Code regarding building regulations. This item was presented to the Code Revisions, Appeals, and Negotiations Committee on 4/18/2022. Item G, motion to approve an ordinance amending Section 3-6 of the City Code of Ordinances to revise restrictions on licenses. This item was presented to the Code Revisions Appeals and Negotiations Committee on 4/18/2022. Item H, motion to approve an ordinance adopting an amendment to the fiscal year 2022 annual budget and supplemental appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2022. This matter was presented before the Finance and Purchasing Committee on 4/18/2022. Item J, a motion to approve a resolution reallocating the City of Waukegan's 2022 private activity volume cap of $9,399,830 to the Village of Buffalo Grove, Lake County, Illinois. This matter was presented before the Finance and Purchasing Committee on 4/18/2022. Item K, motion to approve an ordinance authorizing the disposal of a surplus 1995 Seagrave LR44DH ladder truck, serial number 85011. This matter was presented in the Finance and Purchasing Committee on 4/18/2022. Item L, motion to approve a resolution approving an agreement with Aircon Refrigeration and Heating, Inc. for HVAC upgrades to fire stations 1, 3, and 4 in the amount of $680,619. This matter was presented before the Finance and Purchasing Committee on 4/18/2022. Item M, motion to approve a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Beach Park Fire Protection District for installation and operation of public safety communications equipment. This matter was presented before the Finance and Purchasing Committee on 4/18/2022. Item N, motion to authorize the procurement of paper and office supplies for fiscal year 2023 from Office Plus Solutions and Supplies Warehouse Direct from AOPD-NCPA Joint Purchasing Contract number NCPA 11-18 in the not-to-exceed amount of $100,000. This matter was presented before the Finance and Purchasing Committee on 4/18/2022. Item P, motion to approve a resolution approving agreements with First Responders Wellness Center for professional therapy and wellness services. This matter was presented before the Finance and Purchasing Committee on 4/18/2022. Item Q, motion to approve a resolution approving intergovernment agreements with Lake County for access to law enforcement software solutions. This matter was presented before the Finance and Purchasing Committee on 4/18/2022. Item R, a motion to approve and authorize the execution of a change order to the professional services agreement for parking and traffic engineering peer review services with Sam Schwartz Consulting LLC in an amount of $19,700. This matter was presented before the Finance and Purchasing Committee on 4/18/2022. Any questions to those motions? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood. Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item I, Alderman Mozio.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. I'm going to try to articulate this, and Stuart might have to help me. But the budget, as we talked a little bit in community, is just a framework. It's a guide on how the money is going to be spent. The appropriations actually then gives the city the legal right to actually spend that money.
Right.
With that being said, there's been a lot of talk, I've had a lot of phone calls. That does not guarantee any positions in the budget. You could put 10 dog catchers in there. It doesn't mean that you're going to fund 10 dog catchers. You can put as many positions in the budget as you want. It does not mean that that position is going to be filled or paid for. That is decided by the salary ordinance. Any raises to any non-union employees. Non-union employees already have a CBA, a collective bargaining agreement. That is already determined for the length of their contract. Any non-union employee, it is then determined through the salary ordinance what raises and salaries they will get. So by passing the budget, that does not mean that how we fund those positions will be determined by another vote. From what I've heard, the salary ordinance will be presented to us in 2 weeks. So I hope I articulated that well enough. All right? So just because you vote for the budget and the appropriations does not mean you're voting for the positions in, or the number of positions in the budget. Did I articulate that, Stu?
Point of
You're
order.
out of order.
So that is specific, that is
That's your
specific,
first warning, Mr. McLemore.
that is specifically true, especially for positions that have not been created yet. The city council, the city code, section 2100 says that salaries of all officers elected and appointed, as well as salaries of employees of the city, shall be fixed by ordinance adopted annually or by appropriation ordinance of the city each year. The appropriation ordinance, as it's written, does not contain specific salaries. And so traditionally, and that's the practice that we're doing, is that the salary ordinance will, for any newly created positions or positions that have a higher salary or a raise, those would be reflected in a salary ordinance, which would come separately. Does that answer your?
I mean, I understand. I hope I articulated. I'm trying to be a teacher here, like I am every day of the week. I hope I articulated that well enough for people to understand it.
Any other questions or comments?
Mayor, I just wanted to say, I looked it up. I had an exchange with Mr. McLemore during our committee, and this is the definition of a budget. A budget is an estimation of revenue and expenses over a specified future period of time. It is utilized by governments, businesses, and individuals. A budget is basically a financial plan for a defined period, normally a year, that is known to greatly enhance the success of any financial undertaking. So it's a plan. It's an estimation of what we're going to take in and what we're going to spend. But it's a plan. We have to have some sort of plan. We can't just come up here and say we hope things work out for the next year. We have to have some sort of direction. We have to give our department heads some sort of direction. This is about what we think you're going to have to spend for the year. And this is why we do it and how we do it. So hopefully that explains it a little bit better.
Okay, any other questions? Yes.
A couple other points here. In my 19 years, we've had situations where we've been over budget. We've had situations where we've been under budget. We've had situations where the administration has had come to us and said, we need more money. We've had to supplement more money, try to find more money. So again, what Alderman Florian, she articulated that very well. A budget is just a plan. It does not guarantee anything else. That's all it is. 2 weeks, Jen, this council will decide on the salary ordinance, which is the positions, the personnel, and if raises or increases in salary are warranted to non-union personnel. And I just want to say, in my 19 years, this obviously is the biggest budget, $233 million. The last one was 181, somewhere in there. And this is the first time I feel like we hadn't had to limp to the finish line in 19 years, at least in the near past, you know, with everything that went on. And thank God for the feds and the state.
Yep.
And sales tax. I mean, sales tax really helped us, but the state and the feds came through. They came through with a ton of money. And a lot of it, they came through for capital projects. And that means bricks and mortar, roads, inlets, bridges, that type of stuff. But thank God to the state and the Fed for coming through with money for Waukegan. Because this is, like I said, in 19 years, this is one of the years, we don't have to limp to the finish line. We're doing okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seeger.
Aye.
Alderman Mosio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood. Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
I want to say one more thing. One of the reasons also is that it's like anything else in government. There's a lot of things in there that I like. Some things, not so much. But I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Also, there's a couple things in here that are very time sensitive. That if we didn't pass this tonight, it wasn't going to happen. I.e., everybody wants more police presence. If we didn't pass this, those guys aren't going to the academy. So that's why, again, in this position, you cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater. Some things you like, some things you don't. The things you don't like, you work with the people up here to come to common ground. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. All right, Mayor, I'm done. I've talked too much.
All right, that was aye.
Oh, Your Honor.
Going to O.
We're backtracking. Who made the motion on,
That's my question.
Me or Alderman Kirkwood, either one of us.
okay.
They did
Okay.
they did the omnibus.
They did, I believe they did that one as well. Mr. McLemore, this is not time for you to talk.
Clyde.
The second warning.
Clyde.
Clyde, calm down.
I told you, I'll talk to you later about it.
Okay. So we had Alderman Mozio, and was it Alderman Kirkwood that
correct.
did a first and second to that? Roll call, please.
What? Item O, did you want to talk about it, Alderman Kirkwood?
Roll call.
We just did, I. We just
Aye.
did I, we on O.
Motion to approve.
We
resolution.
passed.
Okay, I'm sorry, we passed it. Item O, okay, I need a motion. I need a first. Alderman Rivera, a second.
I'll make a motion.
Alderman
Second.
Hayes. Questions to the motion? Yes.
Regarding Hawthorne strategies, we talked at the last council meeting regarding this, and I see that on last Thursday during our automatic meetings with the chief of staff, we were given the information regarding the additional contract. But once again, it does not tell us exactly what is being done now for $108,000. And then, on a monthly basis, how does the city prosper from this organization, okay? And that's my concern about this group. What are they doing? I was supposed to get a contact, and I understand, there were some things that occurred, to talk with the individual.
He's here tonight. Would you like him to answer your questions?
Not at this time. I mean, I can give him my number, he can call me or after the meeting, but not right now. My concern is that for $108,000, how does the city of Waukegan prosper and is looked favorably within Lake County and the state of Illinois? That's my concern.
We have a report on that last week.
Yeah, and Mayor, I would like to hear from.
Yeah, Brad, why don't you come on up?
Yeah.
Give us that report.
I mean, the question comes up, Alderman Kirkwood, I think almost at every meeting that we have. Now that we have the opportunity, it would be great to hear exactly what you're looking for, which is the detail as to why we're paying Hawthorne. So again, I would like to hear from Hawthorne.
Well, my concern is to have a detail of exactly what is done and how do we prosper from this particular organization.
But he's given you every...
Well, didn't you get this report?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I got that, but that doesn't...
That's it.
I mean, by me,
Again,
I can talk to him tomorrow.
It's not your turn, Mr.
I don't need to
McLemore.
belabor this point up here. I can call and talk to him tomorrow.
Strategies.
We can call for the question and vote.
No, I think we need to hear from him publicly.
I agree. On behalf of
All
our
right, you wanna hear it?
constituents, they need to hear.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
Good evening. Members of the City Council, Alderman Taylor, or excuse me, Mayor Taylor. Old habits. I appreciate the opportunity to address you and specifically to address Alderman Kirkwood's concerns. Last week, you should have received a fairly long email from me, Alderman Kirkwood, which outlines the tasks that Hawthorne
Can
has
you introduce yourself, please? I don't think everybody knows who you are.
Sure, I'm sorry. Brad Goodman with Hawthorne Strategy Group. Alderman Kirkwood, you should have received an email last week that goes through what we have been doing on a regular basis, some of the ongoing tasks that we've been up that we've been working with the city with, outlined in our scope of work. The work it complements the work of David Motley and Jane Ferry. Our work focuses on public affairs, strategic communications, especially surrounding executive support and media relations. The Hawthorne itself is a woman's business enterprise. It's a WBE. We went through a procurement process with the city of Waukegan. We were evaluated by staff, and we're being recommended to this council. We have a track record that we're very proud of. We consider our clients to be our partners, and we celebrate their successes. I wanted to just quickly outline a few samples, because I happen to agree with you that you should be getting something for your money. And I think that's an important thing, whether you're looking at public relations as it comes in the public sector or in private business. One of our clients, and I'm very proud to have done this work, is the DuSable Museum of African American History in the city of Chicago. I specifically led a media campaign highlighting racist and dangerous mail that was sent to that historically underfunded institution in Hyde Park. Through those earned media efforts, which gained media traction in every single news channel and radio station in Chicago, along with some National Wire articles, those efforts turned into a significant increase in funding from the Illinois General Assembly and from Governor Pritzker to that institution. Another client, the Chinese American Service League, has been suffering due to the COVID-19 pandemic and increases in anti-Asian hate. Our work elevating that organization resulted in substantial grants from the Asian American Foundation, nearing almost $1 million. Metropolitan Pier and Exposition Authority is another client of ours. We work directly with the first African American CEO of that organization. For those of you that are not familiar with it, it's a municipal corporation. It has a $350 million annual budget. It owns McCormick Place, the Wintrust Arena, and Navy Pier. Our work is, as their agency of record, helped MPEA during the pandemic to receive $15 million in additional money from the Illinois General Assembly to ensure that McCormick Place can stay competitive in a post-COVID-19 world instead of shows going to other venues such as Las Vegas and other places. So the email that I had sent you gave you a sample of the scope of work, and I'd be happy to go through it line by line or answer any questions you have. But I can tell you that on a day-to-day basis, I'm working with the mayor, I'm working with the chief of staff, I'm working with the city's corporate counsel, and I'm working with staff, and I'm working with your lobbyists to ensure that you are getting everything possible that you can for what you're paying for. I understand your concerns, and quite frankly, I'm very saddened that the monthly report that is in your alderman's packet hasn't been up to snuff for you. And I'd be more than happy, whether you vote for our contract or not, to have a conversation on how we can improve our reporting to the aldermen so that you have a better idea of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Can I just add here one important, crucial thing that came up recently? Mr. McLemore, that's how many warnings now? You need to be quiet. This is not a two-way conversation. So recently, Mr. McLemore, you need to be escorted out of here. Recently, we had a situation where we had an Associated Press article that came out that quoted myself and Chief Zupek saying something we never said. It was put out by the Associated Press. It was something that we would not have been able to ever get to know who did that. But thank goodness we were able to get a retraction within 5 minutes, because it could have caused some major problems in our city. These are just small things that our city uses a public relations firm for. Most large entities have a public relations firm, and that's what this is for. Any other questions to this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. One question, in the document that was provided, on point 3, payment terms, it says you are providing a monthly invoice based on the activities approved. Is that speaking of what you just articulated?
Yeah, you get a breakdown of all that, of what that's happened in that month.
I'm sorry, say it again. I can't hear you from this end.
That monthly invoice gives you a breakdown of everything that they've done.
Okay.
So
And
when you
then,
get that in your packet, that's what that is that breakdown.
thank you. You say you're evaluated by staff. What staff is that?
To be specific, I do not know every member of the selection panel that was
But he
reviewing.
works with planning and zoning.
But I can tell you, I mean, are you speaking about
Oh,
are you talking about
You
speaking
had
of the
mentioned you were evaluated by staff, and
Yes.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, I'm not, and maybe the corporate council or the mayor has those individuals' names. I'm not sure, but I believe it was both David Motley, Jane Ferry, and I believe Noel as well, from planning and zoning. And you know, we work within every single department. I've had fairly significant interactions with, and as I said to Alderman Kirkwood, if we need to do a more robust job in reporting on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, I'm happy to make those accommodations, because I think it's important that you all know what your money is going for, and that we take the relationship seriously. And I can also, while I'm not privy to the other responses to the RFP, I can certainly assure you that we're within market rate.
Thank you so much. And one last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe just for our constituents, how is your salary determined?
I'm sorry, my salary?
Yes. Was that suggested? Is that what you quoted to us?
I believe that that it's a rate of $9,000 per month. It is not a salary. It goes to Hawthorne Strategy Group Incorporated. I am not paid $9,000 a month by the city of Waukegan.
Thank you for that clarification.
I appreciate the question.
Mayor, if I could make a comment, please.
Sure.
We've had a lot of conversations surrounding a lot of change that is happening within our city. Bottom line, we're trying to elevate our community and our city. So we're looked at within top 10 cities in Lake County. If we don't change, we're not going to be able to progress or become number 9, become number 8, and we will slip into number 10, 11, and 12. We are a thriving community. We are a big city. We need to compete. In order to compete, we need professionalism, and we need to elevate our standards. I understand change is very difficult, but if we don't change, we're not going to progress.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
I'll make it brief. I'm certainly in favor of Hawthorne Strategies and our partnership with Hawthorne Strategies. I think it's important for everybody to understand that public relations, if you're going to define it, if we're going to define what it is we're talking about, it's a targeted message to a preferred audience. PR, public relations, it's our outward-facing image. It's our advertising for the city of Chicago. PR, for better or for worse, is the good, the bad, and the ugly about what's happening in our city. PR requires an astute approach to messaging and complete knowledge of all facts. It requires interaction with internal personnel, but also state and federal officials. That's what we heard Mr. Goodman talk about, and that's what their expertise is. David and Jane are invaluable. They're amazing. Hawthorne Strategies is not unseating David or Jane. Their jobs are not in jeopardy. That's not even a discussion point. Hawthorne is supplementing their work. I took a look at the public relations report to the committee. I don't know if anybody else looked at it, but it's 3 pages of probably 10-point font, what they do on a daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly basis. I'm amazed and unbelievably impressed that you're able to accomplish all of that. We have and we need additional support in Hawthorne Strategies to, as Alderman Rivera said, elevate us to the next level. It's also important to know that news, again, for better or for worse, is a 24-hour cycle. Things are happening at all times, and we need somebody that is going to stay on top of this news and understand how to craft our messaging for the city. And get, as I had said, I called it advertising, but get the message out to the community members. I'm willing to bet the YouTube of this council meeting isn't getting it done. So we need somebody who has the knowledge and the contacts at every level to advocate on our behalf and help the public understand what it is we do here. Right. What do we do every 2 weeks? What does the staff do every day? That's all part of what they do. Now, at the risk of making this personal, I think it's important to just kind of call out the big issue. Some people just don't like Hawthorne Strategies because they help the mayor win. Yeah. I think that Hawthorne Strategies can help Waukegan win. And I'm willing to bet $108,000 of the taxpayers' money that they're going to do that for us. They've had a year, they have another year. Let's see what they can do. So, you know, I think the last point, and this is an important one, not everything's a profit center, or correct me, not a profit, not everything's a revenue center, but it costs money to run the city. It costs money to get our messaging out, and our messaging is so important. It's critical to the city. It's our advertising. It's our image, and I think we need to take it very, very seriously.
I'll just add one point to this is Brad Goodman may have helped me win in campaigns, but this is Hawthorne Strategies, which is a company that is a PR company that he works for. We would not normally get access, quite frankly, to somebody of his caliber. We would get a lower ranking employee who would normally deal with us. To be able to have access to him and his staff is amazing. And like I said, there's a difference here, and I don't want that to be confused, is there's the person and there's the company. The company is the one that the bills go to, not to him. Does that clarify? Any other questions? Let's just take this to vote.
May I just have one quick
Sure.
comment? I know that there was one no vote in the committee. I just wanted to let you know that for all the aldermen, no matter how you vote, I'll be very pleased to work with you and have some more in-depth conversations on improving the communications, and I appreciate your consideration.
Roll call.
Okay, I have some housekeeping here. Okay, the omnibus was done by Mozio and Kirkwood, correct? Then we had on
It was done by Mozio and Rivera.
the omnibus?
Yes, the omnibus was.
I have Mozio and Kirkwood.
It was Mozio and Rivera.
Yeah. Now, the other one, the last one that we talked about, item I, was Alderman Mozio and Alderman Kirkwood.
All right, and this one I have Felix Rivera. But that's it.
Who was the
I
second?
don't know. That's my question.
Alderman Hayes, I'm pretty sure, was the second, right?
Yes, yes, I was. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Minutes.
Okay.
okay.
Ready?
Yep, roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood. Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Believe in promotion for the city, but I just don't agree with the salary, so I say no.
Motion pass.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, we've gotten everything on the agenda, I believe. So there being no ordinances, item 9, closing items, Alderman time.
Alderman Seager.
Thank you. I thank everybody that attended tonight's meeting, whether negative or positive. I thank you. Today was cleanup for First and Second Ward for the dumpsters, and I'd like to thank Public Works, Chris Gardner, and all the guys that were with me today for their hard work. And I think we've got the message out. I'm positive that we can do a lot of cleanup work with these dumpsters. And I think it works. And all the people that attended last Thursday, First, Second, and Fourth Ward meeting at Boys and Girls Club of Lake County. I thank you all for coming. It was all positive, and I look forward to having more meetings. And that's about it. So, I urge everybody, when we get these ward meetings together, come. Please come. That's unity within the community, and it works. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Alderman Mozio.
Yeah, thank you. Just two things. I brought this up before, but I think it's time for this body to make a decision on it, and that's nonpartisan elections. Like to get that going and vote your conscience, vote your mind up here so we can send it across the street for the next election cycle. I know some people find this hard to believe, but the Democratic Party not one time in 19 years has called me and asked me to vote a certain way. Not one time. The party politics doesn't come into play up here. It never has in my 19 years. Some people may think so, but, I'm telling you it hasn't. So I don't know why us in North Chicago, the only two, I think, municipalities left in Illinois that have partisan elections. Yep. You're talking about behind the times. My God. Step up. And the next thing I think we also need to do is we need an environmental committee or environmental subcommittee. I know some people in the community have been asking for that. I don't know why it's so hard. It's just a discussion. That's all it is. Get a subcommittee. A part of any committee, we got 100 committees. Just put it as part of a subcommittee. Those members can be on that or make it agenda items or however it needs to go. I don't know why that would be so hard to just put on there. I feel like we tap dance up here about the most simple stuff sometimes, and I don't know why. It's just a discussion. I tell people all the time, the only thing at the end of the day that matters, committees don't matter other than that they discuss things, they filter things, they get the ball rolling. The only thing that matters is up here is how these 9 people vote. That's it. At the end of the day, how these 9 people vote up here, that's all that matters. Obviously, with information from the committee and discussion from the committee and discussion from the community. With our environmental history, I think it's important that we get that, start talking about those issues. I mean, I don't like to toot my own horn, but when we got that anonymous letter from the water department, I was the guy that said, we got to look into this. We're not going to be Flint, Michigan. When ETO came here, I said, we need to find the money to get the air tested. So why not have a committee? So when issues come, I know one thing here too in government. If somebody's not assigned to it or a group of people are not assigned to it, it doesn't get done. It doesn't get talked about. So if we have a committee and environmental issues come in front of us, we can send it to the subcommittee and discuss it and get the ball rolling. Good night.
Alderman Mosio, that actually falls under the community development, and you're vice chair of, so if you'd like to head that up, that would be fantastic.
And also, I just want to say that that's also part of the intergovernmental meetings that we're having. We do have an environmental committee set up.
That's valuable, but I think we
mean,
need to have our own.
Well, and we do, and we do.
We
I
have
think
our own committee?
It's under community development.
community development.
So if you would be more than willing to head that up, that would be fantastic.
I'm all for it.
Thank you very much.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I want to thank all the residents from the 1st, 2nd, and 4th Ward that showed up last Thursday for the ward meeting. We had a good turnout, and certainly we'll be doing that again throughout the wards. Also, mark your calendars for June 25th for the waste collection, where we'll be document shredding, medication disposal, and also we'll be looking at electronic devices, getting rid of those at the Sheriff's parking lot located at 25 South Martin Luther King Drive from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Also, as I've said on many occasions, I see in the budget that we're getting additional police and auxiliary. We need to continue to increase our police force. As you heard some of the people say tonight, there's shootings all around the city, and we need boots on the ground. So we need to continue to fund the police department. Also, for block parties, we need to have at least 30 days in advance for block parties, so those individuals throughout the city, especially the 4th Ward, if you're going to do block parties, let's make sure that we do 30 days in advance. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Newsome.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I would like to announce that the West Side Community Center is going to be having a Seeds for Success. They started a garden last year, and this year they're going to open it up to youth for a gardening program. It's going to start June 14th, 2022 through August 13th, 2022. And they're for youth that are interested in horticultural, landscaping. If you need to be a part of, need community service hours to graduate, different things, learn how to determine appropriate temperatures, soil, water levels, cultivate weeds, weeding, plant, growing, harvest food. I'm going to turn this flyer over to David so he can put it on the city's website. There's a scan that you can scan to sign up. They're looking for youth in middle school and high school. They will be meeting on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. And everything that they grow, they will be giving it out to the community like they did last year. All you have to do is come, sign up, and they'll let you get whatever produce you want. They had greens, cabbage, all kind of vegetables last year, and they growing it right over there on the west side. So if anybody wants to sign up for that, to be a part of that growing experience, you can also go to their website, which is the westsidecommunitycenter.org/get involved. Westside Community Center is all one word at .org/get involved. And then also there's a scan that you can scan with your phone and sign up. And I'll be turning this over to David so he can put it on the city's website. And also I just wanted to reiterate for Earth Day cleanup, the 5th Ward is going to have our dumpster on this Wednesday at Grand and Yeoman Street. And the time again is 8 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. That's all I have.
Alderman Turner.
Thank you, ma'am. Been a lot of comments tonight about the budget and about some of the personnel changes and loosely call it reorg or organizational changes in the city. And I would just, remind everyone, nothing remains the same, and sometimes we're resistant to change, but if we don't change, we won't change. So on the one hand, we have people who say, hey, nothing's changed, nothing's getting better, why don't we do this, why don't we do that? Now we have some, we are making changes. Some of them I don't agree with. But, we have to allow for change and accept it and work with it, right? So that's that. I'm very happy to see that I counted 8 Sixth Ward residents that were here tonight who spoke on mostly on the idea of a city administrator. And I really appreciate and very proud that my neighbors are paying attention and coming out to express their opinions and engage with the leadership. I was also delighted that 2 of my neighbors were recognized as part of the garden club. Mrs. Ruzinski has an amazing garden over in the 600 block of North Avenue. And she does just, it's just amazing. The front yard, the parkway, and her backyard, something special to see. So if you're riding around Waukegan, go over here in the 600 block of, it's right by that entrance to Upton Park. Can't miss it. That being said, one of our neighbors not far from Mrs. Rusinski called me today and brought to my attention that a resident, had planted a large bush that was growing at the corner in the parkway, and it was going to cause, eventually it would cause a traffic hazard. You wouldn't be able to see cross traffic at that intersection. And I just want to remind folks, to be cognizant of those kinds of things. I was able to get Public Works, the forester out there, Mr. Eddie Albano, went out and looked at it. He's going to ask the resident to move it into his yard and clear that intersection. But we want to be mindful of the impact that we're having when we take on some of these projects. Ms. Pam Woods is here. Thank you, Pam, for coming up and speaking. I feel your pain, your passion. I didn't know you had moved recently, but, we've had several shootings recently in the 6th Ward, and I don't know what's up with that. I don't. We had Pam talked about the shooting at Ridgeland and North, and it seems as if there were 2 guys shooting at each other across the street, and just an amazing number of shots were fired. That was on I think a Thursday night. The preceding Tuesday, there was large number of rounds fired in the 600 block of Ash Street, right at Ash and Franklin. There have been shootings over on Messina. There have been shootings on North Avenue. And these are instances where we know that shots were fired, where people have called, police have responded and found casings. That's not speaking to the number of shots fired calls or reports where they show up on scene and they don't find any evidence. So, I get it. I respond to the police get there and somebody calls me and I come running over there too. I want to see and I want to be able to report to my neighbors what's going on. But I want to remind everyone, policing is reactive. They don't know, I don't know, nobody knows who has a gun and who's going to shoot or what. They can only respond. And this is why I always ask, be a good witness. If you see something suspicious, if you see somebody with a gun, report it to the police. Call non-emergency if it's a non-emergency. Just, this guy doesn't look right, But if it's an emergency, call 911, right? And if you're in the 6th Ward, I ask you, call the police and then call me. Let me know. I want to know what's going on in the ward. Also, excuse me, and I hadn't mentioned this in recent months, but every year for the last 13 years or maybe 14 years, I've had what I call the 6th Ward Rewards Program. That's my money that I put up for reward for information related to a variety of crimes. Well, last year I said, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore. No more Memorial Day to Labor Day. I'm going to do a year-round, city round, specifically towards firearms. So here's the reward. And it's not the Sixth Ward rewards, it's just, I'm offering you a reward. If you are a good witness and provide information and stand as a witness to provide, that leads to an arrest and a conviction for someone who is in possession of an illegal firearm, I will pay you $1,000 out of my pocket, not tax dollars. That's my money. And if someone shoots that gun or shoots someone with that gun, I will give you $2,000. Now, that may increase later in the summer, but right now I'm going to give you $1,000 if you report somebody that's got an illegal gun, $2,000 if they shoot it or shoot somebody. I'll give you $2,000, but you got to stand as a witness and get them convicted. That's my oath to you, is to everyone in the city. It's citywide, and that's my offer. All right, so as Alderman Newsom mentioned, she and I are both having dumpster drops in the 5th Ward and the 6th Ward on Wednesday, April 20th. Mine is going to be 741 Glen Florida. That's right in front of the Dollar General store, 8:30 to 3 p.m. And if you need assistance, I'll be out there. Guys from Public Works will be there. We have information on what can be brought to the dumpster, but if in doubt, bring it, right? And we will also have a truck standing by to take electronics, and another truck, I think, will take tires or something. So, but if in doubt, call me or just bring it and we'll figure it out. And I got some stuff I got to get out too. I apologize to the 6th Ward residents because I'm late with my Q2 6th Ward meeting, but that's going to be on Thursday, the 21st at 6:30 p.m. It's a Zoom meeting. Check your email. Information went out on email on how to join that meeting. And I look forward to sharing information. You know, when I do my meetings, I provide a report to my neighbors about activities, departmental activities in the 6th Ward, my activities in the 6th Ward, updates on things that are going on across the city. This week I'll provide a specific update about the casino and some other issues, as well as take question and answers. And so you have time to think about what you might want to ask me. Going back to public safety, summertime starting, now is a good time to start thinking about neighborhood watch groups and meetings. If you're interested, we have reinstituted the neighborhood policing unit, and our officers there will be more than happy to coordinate directly with you, and as will I, to establish a neighborhood watch meeting and kick it off and get that going. I think Alderman Kirkwood mentioned about the block parties. 30 days in advance, if you want to do a block party, get your application in, lay it out, and I'll be very supportive of any block parties. Alderman Moiseo mentioned the nonpartisan elections. You know, I'm like Moiseo. Nobody from the parties ever called me about anything. And we, North Chicago and Waukegan, are the last two communities to have partisan elections. What's the point? So we talked about it before, and this is, again, one of those things I think kind of fell through the cracks. I'd like to see it up on the next meeting agenda, Mayor. Can we get that on the agenda still?
Yeah, what I can do is I can prepare an ordinance or prepare a resolution suggesting that this be put to referendum, and I can also prepare a memo that explains the difference. Interestingly enough, most communities in Illinois have partisan elections. The difference is that the established political parties of Democrats and Republicans do not participate in them. So in other communities, you have most people either running as a local party or as an independent. The nonpartisan system of government of elections, Chicago has it, and we could definitely adopt it, and I can give you the policies on it. It does seem like North Chicago and Waukegan are one of the two places that you have local elected officials registering as either Democrats or Republicans. I agree that is not the norm.
Yeah.
But And if you ask most communities in the suburbs if they had partisan or nonpartisan, they would say that they were nonpartisan because nobody runs as a Democrat or Republican. So
can we get that up on the agenda for next meeting?
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you for your
Alderman
attention.
Rivera.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First of all, thank you everyone who participated in audience time. Very lively discussion. Also, I wanted to remind everyone regarding the COVID situation. We tend to relax ourselves. I know I relaxed myself for a while. Now I'm back to wearing a mask, but only because I think we're so tired of it, you know, that we want to relax and we want to, you know, see a little positivity. But please, I just want to share with you to be very mindful when you go out. Think of your situation, think of your surroundings, where you're going to be, and also think of when you come home, what you're going to bring home. So it's always good to wear a mask. Earth Week, everyone has indicated where they're going to have their dumpsters at. The 7th and 8th, we are going to be on Sunset Avenue and on Sheridan Road. The 7th Ward collection is going to be at the, I think I don't know what the name of the field is. It's the baseball diamond on Greenwood Avenue. I can't remember the name of the person. At Bowen Park, the baseball diamond. Okay, Gal Grove. That's where, in that parking lot is where we're going to have our dumpster. The address says 1800 Sheridan, but it's actually around the corner and on Greenwood. Hopefully I'll have signs directing people towards there. Keep in mind that the Washington Park is also going to have a cleanup. This is by the Park District. With their volunteers. That's going to be on Friday, April the 22nd from 10 to 1, and they're going to meet at 15 South Park Avenue. Lakefront volunteers are also needed. We're going to have a beach cleanup. There's also going to be a Waukegan Harbor cleanup. And the one cleanup that started this all is the Amstutz cleanup, which is happening on Saturday, the 23rd from 9 to 11. We're going to be meeting at 535 South Sheridan Road, which is the North Shore Printers establishment. I hope a lot of people show up to this. Again, Marty Wozniak is the one who initiates and does the Amstutz cleanup. He's the one that reached out to the city and said, you know, let's do something bigger, and here we are. So we're doing something bigger, we're doing something together. It will be collective, and it will be good, and it will be fun. The other thing I wanted to talk about was that the Waukegan Park District, along or in cooperation with the 7th Ward Alderman, myself, we're having a Park Community Days. We will go ahead and post this out. Community Park Days to beautify Bowen Park, Saturday, May 7th from 9 to 11. Volunteers will be needed. We do make a difference as far as being a volunteer. There'll be opportunities for trash cleanup, mulch tree rings will need to be filled, painting, flower bed maintenance, playground mulching. The Waukegan Park District will provide all the supplies needed for this. Everyone is asked to meet at the Janet and Robert Morrison Memorial Picnic Center at Bowen Park. Again, folks, this is May 7th from 9 to 11. After this one, the Park District is going to do the Country Lane Park on June 25th, and then Clearview Park on July the 9th. So more information will come on that. And I also wanted to mention the Independence Parade. We're going to have it this year. It's going to occur on the 3rd, Sunday, July the 3rd. So I hope we get a great participation in this also. Other than that, again, thank you all for attending the meeting, and God bless you.
Alderman Florian.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I just wanted to let you know, ma'am, the police chief is behind you, and he said he'll be glad to speak with you about that incident from the 6th Ward. So before you leave, make sure you speak with him. Her name is Miss Annie? Woods. Miss Woods. So he's right behind you, so he'll be glad to speak with you. I want to thank everyone who participated with the dumpsters this week. I hope it's going to be a great success. I think the cleanup plans are going very well for the whole city. And my dumpster will be Thursday from 8 to 3 at St. Dismas Church in the parking lot, kind of on the west end of the parking lot. And thank you to Public Works for making this happen for us. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Alderman Hayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, two things. First and foremost, Brother Blanks, that was really impressive. Thank you so much. It just demonstrates a level of commitment and humility and bravery to get up here and tell your story in that way. And your ability to convey your message that way is a measure of artistry that I don't possess. So I am really impressed by it. So thank you for sharing your message. You've certainly had all of our attention. So thank you for that. Ms. Woods, thank you for coming to the meeting today. Thank you for begging and pleading with the City Council, but also bringing your issues to the attention. We hear you. We hear you, we acknowledge you, and we will do anything we can to help you. As Alderman Florian said, talk to the police chief. And as Alderman Turner said, unfortunately, a lot of times police work is more reactive than proactive. They try to be proactive, but there's so much stuff going on in the city that sometimes you're just trying to react and triage issues in the city. So, well, sure. I hear you, and well, ma'am, I would encourage you to just talk to the police and keep an open line of communication. They are there to help you. Well, thank you. Trying to just give you an opportunity to be heard, but I just want you to know that we'll do what we can to help. I think I do want to touch briefly on the city manager and city administrator position. Thank you for everybody that came out and spoke in favor of it, but also thank you to the people that came out and spoke against it. Thank you for letting us know your reasoning. Thank you for helping us understand why you're opposed to it. I'd like to just make a couple of quick points. That one thing I didn't even know until the other day is that there is, I'm probably going to butcher the name, but there is an organization that exists and has existed since 1914. It's called the ICMA, and I think it's something like the International County Managers Association or something to that effect. Since 1914. The idea that a city manager or city administrator has been needed at certain levels of government for certain cities of a particular size, like our size, has been around for 108 years, and we're just now getting around to having a discussion about it. It really speaks volumes as to how far behind we are in trying to elevate and progress as a city. So I would encourage you to check out their website. It was very informative to me, but it also really helps you explain what a city manager does. I'm not an expert and won't hold myself out as an expert on what a city administrator can accomplish for the city. But I want to just bring that to your attention because there's a great level of detail on the website. I also want to just kind of draw everyone's attention to the fact that we are politicizing what is supposed to be a non-political office. not even an office. It's a non-political role within the city. We're taking sides and we're fractured as a council and people have different views and opinions. It is ironic to me that we are politicizing something that is supposed to rise above politics and is supposed to look at the city through a lens of objectively improving every facet of the city. So, you know, as has been said, the status quo isn't working. I've actually heard people say, well, we haven't had a city manager in the past, why do we need one now? That is the exact reason that we need a city manager. We have experienced success in the city, but it's stunted every 4 years. It's a 4-year tail on that success, and it stops, as I said at the last meeting. So, you know, the lakefront development, yes, we've made progress, but it's stalled. You look down at the lakefront, you go to drive down there, and it looks like something out of an Upton Sinclair novel. The downtown development is stunted. We can't get any traction down there, and I think that the city manager comes in and is able to find the funding to get that to help us get on the path to progress and consistently stay on that path of progress. The last point I want to make is, and I had mentioned this last meeting, but I didn't really elaborate on, is the credibility. As we try to contract with different vendors and as we try to network at the state level and at the federal level, a city manager is invaluable because the city manager is going to weather the political storm. And if the city manager is there, those contractors and those vendors and those companies that are willing to invest in the city of Waukegan know that that vision will remain constant. And that's the message that we need to convey, and that's what the city needs. It needs some consistency. I think, you know, that's really all I wanted to say on that point for tonight, at least. I know it's going to be a hotter topic issue at the next city council meeting, but thank you for listening.
Alderman Bolton.
Oh, man, I'm the last one. So I want you to know I hear your pain, and I hear the pain of all that are saying, and I've received a lot of calls, they're saying they don't want to pay a city administrator, a city manager, and a mayor, and paying all those positions concerning the budget. But they rather see that money go into our departments that are short-staffed. We need to see them, like our officers, so they're not stressed out, and all the other departments wearing themselves out, because we need to take that money to hire more staff. Now, I did see it in the budget. You all need to know it is in the budget. But I wanted to be a voice for them because that is part of my job. So I do get a lot of calls saying, you know, why are we doing this? Why do we need all these positions? And so with that being said, we know also that we're going to be getting rid of, I believe, our lieutenant positions, the positions of the lieutenants. And so I'm understanding that lowers you all's morale. We need more, not less. So with that, I'd lastly like to say thank you to my constituents for attending our meeting. It was very successful. Thank you to our staff here in the city for sacrificing your time. I think, like my police officer, you all just being there, the senator, the state rep, the vendors, Boys and Girls Club, the church community, Shiloh Baptist Church, Jesus Name, the Baha'i community, they just really showed up and showed out. So I just want to make sure I say I thank everyone. Eddie Washington Center, the gentlemen, they volunteered and they served. I think, what's it called? CYOC, the Cheesecake Restaurant. I think the South Park International Restaurant, the food was good. I just thank everybody, especially the Boys and Girls Club. So it won't be our last time, and of course, we are advocating that you begin to have community meetings. So, you know, continue to step forward, and let's work together. Thank you.
Mayor, that concludes.
Oh, one last thing. I want to acknowledge Pat Jones in celebrating her and saluting her. Yes, for the building being, Park Place being named after her. Congratulations, Pat Jones.
All right. I believe that concludes the alderman's time, ma'am.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the second.
First, second, so it's Rivera and Turner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.